Mistlands can be a very tough biome with lots of challenging mobs you'll have to fight. So today we're going to take a look at all the different mobs we can find in the Mistlands biome, along with the best way to fight each of them. So let's start by talking about the things I recommend you take with you on your very first time into Mistlands before you're able to get any of the Mistlands items. First up, you will see the blue orb orbiting around me, and of course that is the wisp light, and this is very important to help us see through the Mistlands biome. The recipe for a wisp fountain, which attracts wisps and then you get them and make the wisp light, is very simple. You just need one Torn Spirit, which you've got from Yagluth, that is the Yagluth drop, and will change automatically if you killed Yagluth before the update. And then you just need 10 stone and to be near a stone cutter to place down the wisp fountain, and at night time the wisps will come and you can make your wisp light. In terms of armor, I recommend the Fenris armor, and obviously upgrade it fully if you're able to. The cape really doesn't matter, so we'll just go for the linen cape at level 4. Of course, all capes are the same. Later on, we want to get the feather cape as soon as possible for Mistlands, but for your first time in there, you won't have access to this. Now, the reason I say about the Fenris armor is when wearing the full set, we are resistant versus fire, and we also have a speed bonus. Both of these things will really help us against some of the mobs, as you'll see in a moment. I then recommend you take the Dragafang and the needle arrows with you. If you don't have access to them or don't have enough, then iron arrows will also do fine, and even the fire and poison arrows are not terrible in a pinch. Now, for the shields, I personally would recommend the black metal shield because parrying is something I'm going to use quite heavily. However, if that's not really your game style, then taking the black metal tower shield is a good alternative. Now, as you're going to see throughout this combat guide, if we are lighter on our feet and we're able to parry, to me that's going to be a big advantage against several of the mobs. But as I say, everyone plays this game differently, and that's totally fine, so you might be better with a tower shield if you prefer that way of playing. Now, I want to talk briefly about the Frostner, and at the moment I definitely recommend you take this with you. However, I'm not sure if this is something that's going to change when the full release comes out. The Frostner seems kind of broken at the moment, and you'll see later on when I put all the different damage types for the different mobs up on screen that the Frostner damage isn't supposed to be as powerful as it seems to be currently in the game. So if that were to change later on, then what you'd swap it out for is the black metal sword, and I recommend you take this with you regardless because the sword is going to be useful in certain situations. Again, you will see this later on. Now, I will of course make update videos when the full release is out, and if this is something that needs updating, then it will be on my channel. Now, some further things that I recommend, obviously the meads are never a bad idea if you take with you the healing mead and also the stamina mead. Now, later on in the game, they have added in some new meads like the lingering stamina mead and also the major health, so that would be very useful to take once you have access to them. But before that, having some meads is definitely better than having none, and now this brings us on to the food. So I recommend that you take with you 2 heavy stamina foods, so I've got here bread and I've also got here blood pudding, and then 1 very strong health food, so I've got the serpent stew and I've also got the fish wraps. Now, there are of course alternatives to these food, but basically I'm saying make 2 foods heavily focused on stamina and 1 food heavily focused on health. The reason for this is being able to move quickly is going to be really useful to us in almost all situations. One side note I will make is that I would say for the Mistlands dungeons, you're probably better off to go for 2 of the strong health foods and 1 of the stamina, because in there you can have a lot of multiple enemies coming at you all at one time, and in that situation you might want to switch to the health and also go for the black metal tower shield. This is so you can tank and sit back and take a lot of damage and then counter strike, and I will do a full guide on the dungeons later on my channel. I recommend you take the Dragafang bow because of its lingering poison damage, and if you couple that with the strength of the needle arrows, or if you're using iron arrows maybe or something like that, then this is going to be quite powerful. So one final note before we head on in is that this is just my recommendations currently based on how I've experienced Mistlands so far in the public test branch. As I said, this may change when the full release is out, and if it does, I will be sure to make update videos. But of course, you guys may have different opinions, and that's totally cool, so do let me know what they are down in the comments, and let's get the discussion going. Now, if you would like a full guide on all the new weapons, armor, and tools you can get since the Mistlands update, I'll put a link to the video I made on that in the description. This video is sponsored by G-Portal, who host servers for a huge range of games at affordable prices. If you'd like to check them out and save yourself 10%, there is a link in the description. Now, once you're in the Mistlands, you will find yourself in many areas that are of course quite misty. Now, if I run away from the Seeker and I put a bit of mist between himself and I, and then I go ahead and take myself out of ghost mode, we can see what happens. So if I just run around a little, he's starting to get alerted. I'm making sure that that mist is still between us at all times. So I keep running this way, but also staying close enough that he can hear me. And you'll notice that as long as I keep a bit of mist between us, then although he can hear me, he can't actually see me. And if he doesn't see me, he won't get the red exclamation mark and be starting to chase after me. Okay, so this one right here then saw me. There's a red exclamation mark. It's kind of a good example actually. So now these guys can see me and they will chase me. So basically, when you first venture into the Mistlands, you may want to consider not putting your wisp light on just straight away, because you may want to try and listen out and use to your advantage the noise that the mobs make in order to sneak up on them a bit. The other important point is by knowing there's a mob nearby, we can go ahead and shoot at it and get a sneak attack, and you can see how the huge damage that will do before we even have to fight it. And there we go, with one hit we were able to kill it because of the sneak attack that we did. And this is true of all Mistlands mobs, and worth mentioning because you may want to approach Mistlands Mistlands in that stealthy manner and give yourself a better chance. So that was just some general information about all Mistlands mobs. Now we're going to go into the specifics for each of the Valheim mobs, and of course there are chapters if you want to skip ahead to whatever mobs you're interested in. So let's start by talking about the hares, and these guys are passive animals. They will not attack us, but once they know we're here, they will indeed run away. And this is one reason I recommend that you prioritize stamina, because you can do a lot of time chasing after things in Mistlands, or indeed running away from things in Mistlands. And the terrain, as you can see here, it can of course be quite hilly, so having that extra stamina can be useful. This guy's given us the run around for a bit, but we did finally catch up with him and were able to kill him. Of course, if you were to do a sneak attack with the bow or just sneak up on them and then hit them, then you might have a better chance at getting them. Now in terms of their drops, they will drop raw hare meat and they'll also drop scale hide. As you can see here, hares are immune to spirit, but they take normal damage from everything else. They also have a very low HP, so you can hit them with just about anything, and you'll almost always one-shot them when you are hitting them. So next we're talking about the Seeker, and as you can see, they are immune to spirit as well as resistant to blunt, slash and pierce with normal damage from everything else. So we want to go ahead and equip our Frostner, and this is definitely the best way to attack them right now. We'll have to see what happens during the full public release. Now Seekers, you'll see here, they will come at you and they'll do a left-handed attack as you saw there, as well as a bit of a headbutt and even a right-handed attack. Also, if you get far away from the Seeker, you'll see there they will come and fly in and attack you, so they can be kind of hard to get away from. If you are trying to outrun a Seeker, the best thing to do is wait for it to start to attack and then run away, as their attacks are quite slow. It can definitely be tricky to outrun it entirely and get away from it in the mist, but it can at least give you a few extra seconds to regroup and then attack again. So in terms of fighting this guy, the best bet is to try and parry him and then give him a big hit. So if we go there and parry him and then we hit him with a Frostner, you'll see the damage that we're able to do, and with the Frostner at level 4, it's able to kill it in just a couple of hits. Now as I said, this might be something that gets patched, so what I'm going to do now is show you the same fight but with a black metal sword. Okay, so once again we're going to try to parry this guy and then give him a good few hits, and with 3 hits there we were able to kill him, so basically 1 attack. Now this is why I like the stamina and the parry so much, because in basically 1 3 hits attack we are able to completely kill a Seeker using a black metal sword that has been fully upgraded. Now you'll often be against multiple Seekers all at once, so let's see what happens here if you're against 3 of them and the best way to deal damage against them. So against several of them, I recommend that you equip your bow and try to outrun them a little bit and get up into the hills as you can see here, and then shoot them from afar. Basically we're just going to keep running away from them and at the same time keep looking back to shoot them as they chase after us. This is where you can use the Mistlands terrain to your advantage, both in terms of the mist and all the different hills that you'll find in there. And again, this is why I recommend stamina, as it does take a lot of stamina trying to navigate through this terrain and also to keep shooting your bow. Once you have the higher terrain, they're going to start coming at you, but then you might find that you only have to attack them 1 or 2 at a time, which will make it a lot easier. So in the 3 that we started, we've actually managed to lose 2 of them, so now we can just go ahead and fight this guy as we normally would and get rid of him. And now of course there's only a couple left, and there was 1 just down here. There he is. We can see him just about through the mist. Just take a lucky shot. There we go. We managed to get him, and then we just keep doing that until they're all gone. Okay, so here's the final guy that we saw. We're just going to go ahead and parry him and then kill him, and that's how we dealt with 3 of them without too much trouble. Now in terms of drops, you can get the Seeker trophy, which looks absolutely awesome. There it is behind me, and you can also get the carapace and the Seeker meat. So next we're going to talk about the Seeker brute, also known as the Seeker soldier. Now for their attacks, you'll see that what they'll do is they'll try to headbutt you like that, and they'll also do like a double stomp attack sometimes as well. So there we go. There's the double stomp attack where he stomps both his front claws on the floor and does an AoE damage. So you can parry this guy quite easily, and then we can go ahead and hit him with the Frostner. You can see here it does quite a lot of damage. It also gives you an opportunity to get in behind him and to hit him on the butt, which is where their weak spot is. So we want to try to get behind them and hit them on the butt whenever possible. So basically I'm just repeating this process. I'm parrying and then I'm letting him do his slow attack, and I'm getting in behind him when I parry or while he's doing that slow attack. Just be careful to manage your stamina throughout this fight and make sure that you are getting the most out of it so that you can get around behind him and do as many attacks as possible. Do be careful with his AoE attack. It is quite a powerful attack, and if you're in a close vicinity it can be quite damaging to you. Of course the Frostner also helps to slow them down. As you'll see here, the Seeker is immune to spirit and resistant to blunt, slash and pierce, taking normal damage from everything else. Now the Seeker soldiers will drop this awesome trophy, you see it right here behind me, and they'll also drop these things here. So we have the mandible, some more of the carapace, and some more of the Seeker meat. So the next thing to talk about are Seeker broods, which are found in dungeons. The best thing to do against these is equip your sword and your shield and just run up to where you'll see their eggs are. Now when you disturb them, you see here they start to hatch, so the best thing to do is just wail on them before they even hatch, or whilst they're hatching at least. Sometimes you get a couple that are just on the floor and you can't actually hit them with your sword, so for those you can just go and use the bow to hatch them out and then another bow to shoot them. In terms of the drops, you will get royal jelly from the Seeker broods. Alrighty, next up we have the Gjals, and they are immune to spirit as well as resistant to fire with normal damage from everything else. Now when fighting the Gjals, they will drop ticks, and if a tick lands on you like it did right there, you want to just go ahead and dodge roll to get it off. Now one thing with the ticks is to try to always always keep them in front of you. And the reason for this is they are much easier to deal with if they attach to the front of you. So you'll see here he's attached to the front of me, and I've got options right now. I can actually block him, and you see here we can block some of his damage, and we can even try to parry him. Let's see if we get it right. Okay, so he's on the front of us here. If we just go ahead and block, there we go. We managed to parry him, and he fell off. And then of course we could get a hit on him. The second thing is when he's on front of you, you can actually swing your sword at him and kill him. If you try doing this when they're on the back of you, however, it will not work, and you have to rely on a dodge roll to get them off you, and then you can hit them again. Now you'll be fighting the Gjall with your bow and arrow as he flies around, and what you want to do is keep an eye for as soon as he drops those ticks and put some distance between you, and also start to save your stamina. But what we're going to try to do is just pick them off as they run towards us. There we go, we got one there. We know there's a couple more, and we're just watching for that at the same time as watching for the Gjall's attacks of the fireballs. So with the Gjall, you're constantly trying to keep a distance and hoping you don't run into a second one like I did just there. But then as soon as you see the ticks again, we're going to go and pick them off with our bow and arrow to try and stop them being a problem before they get to us. As for the Gjall itself, you want to go ahead and shoot it on the underbelly whenever possible, as this is its weak spot. You saw there I did yellow damage from doing so, but it is shooting this fire damage at you all the time, so having this fire resistant armor is very useful for that. You can see here the damage we do when we hit the underbelly though of the Gjall. It's reasonable, and if we can sneak hit it before we do our first attack, that is going to make a huge difference, of course. But this definitely can be difficult against the Gjall, so saving your stamina against them and using stamina means is actually going to be really important. So basically we're just going to keep shooting, aiming for that underbelly wherever possible, and when he does go ahead and drop the ticks, we want to deal with them first, as they can be very dangerous. And of course when he shoots fireballs like he did just then, make sure you get out of the way as soon as possible. Now in terms of drops, you can get this trophy here from the Gjall and this one here from the tick, so that's how they look, and they're both kind of cool in their own different ways. On top of that, the Gjall will drop these right here, which are bile bags, and the ticks will drop these blood clots here. So next we're going to talk about the Dwerga family, and that is the rogues that you see right here. So they've got like a crossbow that is constantly loaded and ready to shoot at you. Of course, none of these NPCs are actually mad at us to begin with, but in a second you'll see how they can get mad at us very, very quickly. We then have three types of Dwerga mage, being this guy right here in the red. This is the fire mage, the blue guy is the ice mage, and the yellow guy right here is the support mage. So we're going to take a look at the attacks they do in quite a fun way. So I'm in god mode, and what I'm going to do is just shoot at one of these guys right here to injure them, and then they'll all want to attack. But you see how they all turn towards me there, because they are friendly straight away, but they're about to be not friendly when we start attacking them, of course. So let's go ahead and shoot this blue guy right in the head, and boom, there's the damage he does, and we can see what's going on. So we've got this guy on the left, the rogue. He's loading his crossbow up and shooting at us, and then repeating that process. Now you see how the blue guy is healed. Oh my goodness, they're escaping. Okay, this is chaos. Right, let's talk about the fire guy. Here he is. He's about to do a fire spell. There it is. Right, comes at us right there. He's shooting fireballs at us basically. Then if they get close, they'll do a hit like he did just there. They'll actually stab us with what they're doing, but if they're further away, the range attack there is the fire attack, and of course that does burn damage as well. Then we have this blue guy. Look at this. He's shooting blue icicles at us, and this will give us the frost damage and slow us down and stuff, but he has a close-up attack too. So if we get close to this guy, he's going to actually just poke us with his stick, but it hurts quite a bit, to be fair. So then we got this yellow guy right here, this mage right here. You can see what he does if we just sort of stand nearby. He sends out these healing spells. So he's like the support mage, the healer, and he actually heals up the mages around him, which how the blue guy managed to get some of his health back. So these Dwerga mages, I'll show you their attack right now, because although they're healers and they don't have direct attacks. Oh, there we go. There's one there. See the missile? There we go. That purple missile, that's from these Dwerga mages, the yellow ones, the support ones. So as well as healing their friends, they will shoot missiles at you, and that's their attack. A random fun fact about the Dwerga family, guys. Did you know they can spawn male and female versions? The male versions will all have beards, while the female versions do not have beards. And this is true of all the different colors of Dwerga mage, as well as the Dwerga rogues that you saw just there. They can be found in a couple of different structures, one of which is this tower you see right here. Now, if you love these doors and you want to use these doors in your builds, I'll link a video in the description where I actually show you how you can use these doors and make them open and close and make them part of your base. However, for now, let's take a look at how we actually conquer these guys, because if we go inside, there is a drop that we particularly want. And that drop comes in the form of this right here, the Dwerga component crate. Inside is a Dwerga extractor, and that is used in a crafting recipe to get us some sap. So this right here is the sap extractor, and if you want more information on sap, I'll link a video in the description where I covered it fully. Now, the only way to get that is to smash this crate open, and there was some false information going around that there's a special key for this crate. I can confirm that is incorrect. You have to literally just smash it open. However, when you do so, all of the Dwergas will get very annoyed at you, and they'll start attacking you, and they are very powerful, especially when you have a lot of them in one area, which you typically do in these dungeon areas. I should say structures, they're not dungeons as such, but you guys get the point. So I've gone ahead and equipped an axe, and I'm going to show you guys what happens right now when I smash this crate. Now, I am in god mode because I just want to demonstrate to you guys what happens, but I don't want to die for this tutorial, so here we go. All right, so we've smashed it instantly here. We are being attacked by all of these things all at once, and to run down and get out of here without these guys killing us would be tough, because there's some more guys down here waiting for us too. So these guys are literally all aggroed aggro at us right now and will keep attacking us. But what I'm going to do is just test. If I go really far away and wait some time and then come back, will they still be mad at me? So I went quite far away and stayed away for a good few in-game days. And when I came back, these guys were still mad at me. So I assume that they're just indefinitely mad as soon as you annoy them. So the Duergar Rogue is immune to Spirit, but will take normal damage from everything else. And all of the Duergar Mage are immune to Spirit and resistant to Fire and Frost, taking normal damage from everything else. So this is another type of Duergar encampment that you can find right here. So sort of open plan stone circle. You can see we still have the crate, but it is in the back of this sort of big carriage thing, I guess you'd call it. But this is what they can look like. Obviously, this one here has been cleared out of all the Duergar mobs. Now, I'm not going to include a combat guide for how to fight these guys in this video, and I'm going to be completely honest as to the reason why, and that is because I honestly don't have a clue. I've tried and I've played around with this for a little while, and they just keep one-shotting me, and I'm seriously struggling to find a good strategy that I can give to you guys, and I didn't want to like half-ass this and give you guys something that isn't going to work every time. So what I'll do, I'm actually going to dedicate an entire video just to these guys in the future once I've figured out some more things on how to tackle this camp right here, and also there's sort of stone keep camps that you can find as well. Now, if you guys have any ideas, tips, tricks, or anything you found useful, please do let me know in the comments. I want to apologize for not including it in today's video, but I think you'd agree it's better that I get it done properly and give you guys accurate information than try to rush something out in today's video that isn't quite there. So for now, my advice really is just stay away from these guys. They are incredibly difficult to fight, and basically the big issue is because they all attack you at once, and they're so strong. They really hit hard. So the dad jokes are of course coming, but I just want to say I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please do consider liking and subscribing for more. But for now, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Why do dogs float in water? Because they're good boys. What happens when it rains cats and dogs? You have to be careful not to step in a poodle. Police arrested a bottle of water because it was wanted in 3 different states: solid, liquid, and gas. What do you call a lazy kangaroo? A pouch potato. Why is grass so dangerous? Because it's full of blades.